The advice and opinions expressed by the host of Autism Live and her guests are meant solely as suggestion and should not be in any way construed as child-specific advice. The Center for Autism and Related Disorders advises working with a board-certified behavior analyst who has experience with autism before starting any intensive behavioral intervention. Any choices you make in determining your child's treatment are completely at your own discretion.
Good morning and welcome to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod and we're webcasting to you live from the Center for Autism and Related Disorders headquarters in Tarzana, California. It's Monday. So thrilled to be here with you. It's April 15th. Of course, we've been talking a lot about taxes here. And if you have not finished your taxes, my goodness, you are not alone. I too will be finishing my taxes today. And we mentioned all of last week that on the show last Tuesday, we had Yolanda Baker. She's an autism mom and she was offering some free webinars that she did on Friday, but I understand that there's still going to be some this week. So you'll want to go to biteyourbills.com if you're still struggling with your taxes. Her book has been so helpful to me this last week, figuring out, and I don't have it with me here, but her book, there it is, Bite Your Bills, Cutting Medical Costs for the Disabled, How I Got $28,000 Back in Medical Expenses. Really awesome book. Want to encourage everybody to go to biteyourbills.com if you're still having trouble with your taxes, because it is that day. It is April 15th, but you are not alone. You are not alone if you are not done. I am still finishing up. And it gets done when it gets done, right? And one of the things that Yolanda talked about with us last week is that it's okay to file for an extension. That it's most important thing that she had mentioned was knowing whether you think you owe money or are owed money. And if you, either way, you can file for an extension. If you think that you owe money, it's important to work out with the IRS whether you're going to write a check, if that's a possibility. I don't know very many autism parents that is a possibility, but you can make a payment plan, and it goes much easier if you call them and say, hey, I want to make a payment plan, than if you wait. I am someone who has been known to bury my head in the sand, but I agree with her that it's better to really take action and make sure that you don't get in arrears with the government, right? But in any case, a lot of stuff going on here. It is Autism Awareness Month, and we have a lot going on. You'll notice that my hair is starting to come in. We shaved, it was exactly a week ago today that I shaved my head here on the show live, because we're doing Compassion in Action this entire month. It's Autism Awareness Month, and a lot of people say, well, it needs to be Autism Action Month, and I agree with all of that. We need autism awareness, we need autism action, and in thinking about what I wanted to see happen, and what a lot of us here want to see happen, is that more compassion is shown to individuals who are on the spectrum and to the families of individuals on the spectrum. And I've always been taught that if you want something, you have to be willing to give it as well. So that's why we're doing Compassion in Action. We hope that all of you will do something this month to show compassion towards another person, whether it's somebody on the spectrum or somebody who is not on the spectrum. They're both valid because it spreads that awareness. It's always great to show compassion to people who are on the spectrum, but if we show it to people not on the spectrum, we will see that. I've already seen that happen in my life this last week, people showing more compassion for my family and for my child as a result of seeing that I'm willing to show compassion for them. It's been a very powerful, powerful thing, and I hope that you will participate. We want to know what kinds of things you're doing to show compassion in action. We're going to be sharing at least one of the stories close to home here on today's show that I'm very excited about sharing with you. But this whole show, and we will be with you live for the next 2 hours, we look at autism from a 360-degree perspective. We're people. We're people, and our kids are people. If you're an individual who's on the spectrum, obviously you're a person and you have a full life. You're dealing with lots of different kinds of issues, and it's sort of endless, isn't it? And I have said before on the show that when my son was diagnosed with autism, I remember thinking, well, that's all we can handle. So everything else, we can't have anything else. And I thought of it as, sort of a universal past that nothing else could happen to us. That wasn't the truth. The truth is that life continues on and stuff still happens, and other unfortunate and ugly stuff happens. I know so many of you have written in and said that you or someone you know has been diagnosed with cancer while you're on this autism journey. It doesn't mean that there's nothing else going on. So we look at autism from a 360-degree perspective. How are you taking care of your health? How are you taking care of your bills? How are you putting food on the table? What food are you putting on the table? How are you managing to reduce your stress? Find the funding. Oy, it's a lot, right? But we encourage you. This whole show is meant to be interactive. We encourage you to tell us the kinds of things that you need, the kinds of things that you're looking for more information about, what you'd like to see segments on, and we put those in the mix to hopefully bring you the information that you need. We encourage you to watch the show and to tell others about the show. Emily's going to cycle through some of the different ways that you can get a hold of us here and some of the different ways that you can watch our show. I'm going to remind you that the only way to watch our show live is at www.autism-live.com. When you go there, there's a lovely desktop, and much cleaner than my own, and there's a box that says questions we're answering right now. All you have to do is put your cursor there, type away, hit enter, and it shows up magically right here on my screen. There's no login. There's no credit card request. We're not asking for your personal information, although you can leave personal information. I have the ability to edit that out before I put it on the screen. So feel free, if there's something that you want more information and you want to be able to say, hey, I need you to get back to me at this number. It does take us a little while. I will warn you that I'm a little behind but I have a list of people I'm supposed to get back to, so I'm not going to forget you, but it does take a little bit of time. But we appreciate your patience. It is free, and we want to be a resource for you. We want to be able to help you to get hooked up with the information that you need to get where you need to get to on this journey, right? And I remind everybody at the top of the show always that I am not an expert in autism. Oh no, contraire. I wish I were, and I hope that sometime in my life I will know enough that maybe I don't see that happening. Because every time I think I've learned something, then I learn something else. So I'm just going to call myself a student, but I'm also obviously a parent of a child who is on the spectrum. My son was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2.5, and he'll be 10 this summer. And what an interesting journey this has been for our family. Truly, truly amazing. But I can tell you that on that first day, I wish that I had known things that I know now. And I always think about the fact that what would I have wanted to know at different points along this journey, and that's the space that I come from in booking our guests to be on our show and booking our experts. But obviously, everybody's journey is different. Everybody's child is different. So if there's something I'm missing, please let me know so that we can get that topic here on the show, because I've only had my experience to go by. But I want you to know that I feel very passionately about our kids, all of our kids, and making sure that they all get the things that they need. Subject very near and dear to my heart. And I promised early on, I said, I'm going to do everything I can to help my child, and I'm still working on that. He's still a work in progress, just as I am. And my husband and I made a deal that then we would, when we had done enough for our child that we could take a breath, that we would try to do whatever it was that we could to help somebody else along the way. So that's why I sit here, and that's why I care. I have a lot to pay forward. I get a little emotional, verklempt about it. Anyway, we like to start every morning with something we fondly refer to as the jargon of the day. This is when we take on one word, one phrase, one acronym, and try to put it in terms that we can all understand. We always give you the actual definition first, and then we give you the working definition so that you can see this is how this fits into your life. This is what makes sense of it, is what I like to think of, hopefully. Okay. So today's term, really important one that we understand, and I will caution you that this is one that I think I get it, and then when I put it in practice, sometimes I have to think it through again. It's a difficult one because it seems a little counterintuitive, and I'm always about a parent's intuition. This would be the exception. okay? Because this works when used properly, but you really got to understand it. So our term, to end the mystery, is extinction. And of course, if you're an animal lover, you think extinction, this is a horrible, horrible thing. But in the case of autism and dealing with behaviors, not necessarily. So let's take a look at our actual definition here. Extinction, a procedure in which reinforcement is withheld or no longer occurs following the incidence of a behavior. So what we're trying to make extinct in this case is a behavior. So if you've got a child who's engaging in a challenging behavior, when we talk about putting something on extinction or doing an extinction procedure, what we're trying to do is cut off the reinforcement supply. Think about, cutting off the blood supply to something because you want to starve it, right? So it's like starving a behavior. Let's look at what our working definition is and talk about this a little bit. Removing or no longer providing whatever has been maintaining a behavior you want to decrease. So when we're talking about behavior, whether it's with autism or anything else, all of the behaviors that we all engage in, and by the way, this is all living behavior. So even in terms of animals, this is true, that any behavior that we do over and over and over again has some sort of paycheck. Otherwise, we would stop doing it. And if this is a new concept to you, I really want you to spend some time thinking it through and start with yourself. Okay, what are the behaviors that I do on a daily basis, that I do over and over and over again, and what's the paycheck for them? And it might be that there are some behaviors that you go, this is a behavior I really like. I admire the fact that I do this, and why do I do that? What's the paycheck for that? Oh, it's this. That's pretty exciting that I do that on a regular basis because I get that paycheck. And a paycheck can be lots of different things. It can be money. It can be a good feeling. It can be attention, right? A lot of different things that the paycheck could be. But then think on the other side of the equation. What are the behaviors that you engage in that you kind of wish you wouldn't, that you're a little frustrated with yourself about and go, why do I do this? Why am I always late? Why do I never think to do this beforehand? All those behaviors, if we wanted to, we could sit down and process through and say, all right, so what is the paycheck? Why do I keep doing this behavior? And then once we look at what those things are, we can manipulate things to see if we can change the behavior with great success. But we need to know what the paycheck is first. So if you've got a child, and this isn't something you're going to use for every single behavior, but there are certain times that you can look at a behavior that a child is doing, a challenging behavior, and say, okay, once we've figured out what the paycheck is, how are we going to change this behavior? And in some cases, putting it on extinction is something that is a very powerful tool. Let's take the example of if the behavior is being maintained by attention, which we are a very attention-driven society. And keep in mind that attention doesn't necessarily have to be positive in order for it to maintain a behavior. If you doubt this, I always say, look at any tabloid paper and you'll see that there are people who engage in behaviors that are not good for them and they get negative attention, but that's enough for them to want to do it again. When we talk about kids who do something and they get yelled at, and somebody will say, well, but they're doing it for the attention. And usually a parent or a teacher will say, how could that be? They got yelled at, it's bad attention. But for a child that needs attention, they'll take it. It's enough of a paycheck, right? You might think it's a miserable paycheck, but it's enough for the behavior to continue. So we say to ourselves, all right, we're going to stop giving the thing that's reinforcing this behavior the attention at all. So a child does something. We've all had this happen with a child at some point where a child does or says something inappropriate and we laugh. And then what happens? The child engages in the behavior more. They'll say the word again and again and again because they got that response, right? So it becomes really important to not, in this circumstance, give attention. We're going to choke and starve the behavior. We're not going to give it any gas. And the gas in this particular instance is attention. So we don't ignore the child, but we ignore the behavior. So let's say you're sitting at the breakfast table and the child says a bad word, and where beforehand you would have said, let's not say that, that's not proper, and maybe somebody else at the table laughed. we're going to try to have a non-reaction. We're going to continue to do our breakfast ritual and pour the milk on the cereal, do whatever it is, stir the coffee, whatever, and we're just not going to give it attention. We're still there. We don't get up and leave the room, right? It just is a non-reaction. And the child then may say say the word like 8 more times, thinking, hey, I'm going to get a reaction here, right? And we just, act like nothing is happening, wait for a pause, and when they're not engaged in the behavior, we might say something like, do you want some more juice? Right? Just the normalcy, but not directly after they've said the word, because we don't want to make them think, oh, if you say the word, you get more juice. But in any case, we're starving that behavior. We're making it so the child realizes, oh, I say that and nothing happens. It can be really difficult to maintain and persevere with an extinction procedure because it's so important that you're consistent with it. I would encourage you to only put something on extinction when you're working with somebody and they've said this is the right procedure for this particular behavior, because it doesn't work for all behaviors, and it really becomes paramount that you are consistent. So if the child is hitting, and this is actual experience from my life, that my child was hitting me and he liked to hit me in the face and in the head. Oh, bad days, right? And we did a bunch of antecedent modifications to see if we could change it. But we discovered at least one of the times that we cycled through this behavior, it was partially maintained by escape and partially maintained by attention. That my child, for instance, we'd be in the grocery store and he would be in the cart and he wanted to go over to a certain aisle and he didn't want to be in this aisle, and so he would hit me. Then he would have my attention so that he could say cake, cake, cake. He liked to go and look at the birthday cakes, right? And once I caved because I didn't want to get hit again. Bad. So we put it on extinction. So I would try to block. That was my antecedent modification. If you were watching last week, we talked about antecedent modifications. So if I knew the circumstance in which he was most likely going to do it, and if the hand came up to hit me, I would try to be fast enough to grab his hand and not allow him to hit me. But I'm trying to grocery shop too. Let's be realistic about it. And so, occasionally I would not be fast enough. My attention would be distracted and he would hit me. And I would need to give absolutely no reaction to it. Hard, because you want to say, no, you don't hit me, right? But you can't. If this is the thing that you've been asked to do, you have to be prepared for it. And eventually what I needed to do was to take him to the grocery store without attempting to buy groceries, because I found I couldn't make it a productive time for me and a productive time for the lesson as well. So, really, really hard. You have to really think it through when you're working on an extinction procedure and say, all right, what do I have to have in place so that I can persevere through this procedure? Hard. And everything within you, I can tell you, been there and done that, everything within you wants to talk about it with the child, which no good, right? Because it's attention. Really, really difficult. But it's a powerful, powerful tool. And when I could get it together enough with help to be able to carry through with extinction, it was over in a very short period of time, and I wasn't being hit anymore because it wasn't getting him anything. There was no reason for him to hit anymore. So very, very powerful in certain circumstances, but I encourage you to use a professional and get help and support when you're doing extinction procedures. Okay, we always have a question of the day for you. Today is no exception. Today we're asking you, what safety issues are you most concerned about? Safety is such a huge issue, and we have a new blog going up this morning, 3 things to be thinking about when working on safety. But what's the biggest issue that you are dealing with? Because we're going to take a certain amount of time this week to talk about safety issues, and I'd love to be able to tell our experts the kinds of things that you guys would like to hear about. So really important today. You can answer the question of the day on Facebook. You can do it on the live feature, whatever you choose. And if you're watching a recorded version of this, still feel free to write in and tell us, because we'll still be planning out the week over the next couple of days. I like to tell our experts in the days before they come on, here are the questions that people have been asking about, here are the topics. topics they want to know about. So it really drives the conversation here when you guys answer that. All right, we always have a topic of the week, and of course, usually by this time I've given it away, but our topic this entire week is, in fact, safety. We are talking about how do we keep our kids safe in a variety of different situations. And for all of our kids, you know, there are some things that they're going to have in common, right? We need to teach all of our kids how to safely cross the road. But there are other issues depending on our home and depending on our children, what kinds of issues we're talking about. So a huge area, and it changes based on their skill ability, and it changes based on their ages. So please do write in and tell us the kinds of things that you're most interested in talking about. And remember that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So we could talk about this for a month, but we're only going to talk about it for a week, and we'll talk about the kinds of things that you guys are interested in hearing about. Now, this morning on the show, we've got some really exciting things going on this week. We are going to have a very special guest joining us in just a few minutes. Nicky DeNocker is going to be with us, and I mentioned that we were talking about compassion in action. And Nicky is our new production assistant here. She is a brilliant young woman, and she does something that's absolutely amazing. And when I heard about this the other day, I said, we have to have you on the show to talk about this. So she's going to be joining us in just a few minutes. Alex Plank, it's Mondays, and so Alex is joining us on Mondays whenever we can get him, and we can have him here today. Alex is an amazing young gentleman who is on the spectrum, and he is the creator of wrongplanet.net, but he's also a filmmaker, and very excited to be talking with him today about some of the big events that happened over the weekend. It is Autism Awareness Month, and he and I were at different events, so I can't wait to swap notes with him about what happened. I believe he was at Light Up the Blues on Saturday night. We had Nick Gooseman with us. I get goosebumps thinking about it. On Friday, he was playing on stage with Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and I can't wait to talk to Alex to hear about how that went. And then we also have a stress tip for you. Can't even say that. But we have a stress tip for you because it's Monday, and we always like to talk a little bit about stress and how we all, myself included, need to manage the stress. This is an ongoing battle, right? Stress and yeast and other things, right, that we have to manage. So we'll talk about that. And today's a perfect day, April 15th. We definitely have to talk about the stress today. So all of that and more. And of course, we always like to defer to you. If there's something you need to talk about today, write it on the live feature, and we're thrilled to talk about it with you. A couple of quick programming notes before we leave. We're not doing a live show tomorrow, but on Wednesday. Wednesday's a very important day here in the state of California. It is Stand Up for Autism Day. There's a lot of legislation that's being introduced on at the Capitol of the state in Sacramento, and Nancy Alspaugh Jackson, who does Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy with me, she is going to be journeying up to Sacramento, as is Dr. Doreen Grampiche. They're going to be there on Wednesday. So we pre-taped an episode of Ask Dr. Doreen that we'll be showing you on Wednesday morning, and then for the second hour for Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy, I have a very special co-host who's going to be joining me, Mark Christopher Lawrence, who was the person, he's a star of, you've seen him as Big Mike on Chuck, and he also is a new cast member of Glee, playing Unique's dad. Mark was the person who came in and did the original pass at cutting my hair off last Monday. So he's going to co-host with me on Wednesday, and Nancy's going to be Skyping in, hopefully, let's keep our fingers crossed, from Sacramento to let us know what's happening live in real time. Should be very exciting. So that is on Wednesday. All right. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have a very special guest, Nicky, our new production assistant, telling us what she does to put compassion in action. Stick with us.
Hi everyone, welcome back. It's April, which means it's also spring. And what we're going to be doing today is making our very own chia pets. What's cool about this project, it's an activity that you can revisit with your family as you watch it grow and change. All right, now that I piqued your interest, let's get to it. The materials we'll be needing are water, dirt, arts and craft materials, chia seeds, a container, and nylon. So let's get started. It's super easy. All you're going to do is you're going to take an old pair of nylons that you have. You're going to cut off the toe. And what you're going to do is you're going to take some of your chia seeds and sprinkle them at the very bottom. We don't need too much, just a little bit. And then once I've got my chia seeds there, I'm going to take my dirt and pour that in. And we want to make sure that we've got quite a bit in there. You want to keep this tail. What this does is acts as a way to soak up the water to feed your little chia plant. So I'm going to take the bottom now. I'm going to tie this into a knot. So now that I've got this little guy, now it's time to decorate him. And you can decorate him however you feel like. What I did is that I made some little features out of felt that I'm going to add to my little guy to give him a face. Now that I've got them all decorated, I'm going to pour some water into my container and make sure my tail is all nice and soaked up in there. And here's my little buddy. I made a mouse, but you can always make whatever kind of creature your child finds super reinforcing. Make sure they like the little animal that you make so they'll want to come back and revisit him. As you can see right now, he's a little ball, but hopefully, keeping your fingers crossed, in a week he'll have some hair. With the snap of my fingers, we're going to go through a week in a few seconds. And oh my gosh, this little guy has changed quite a bit. Can you see how? Yeah, he's got some hair now. You can have your kids describe how this little guy looks to their friends, and you can even work on body parts by having them label all the features that this little guy has on his face. So let's see, what does he have? He's got eyes, a nose, a mouth, and ears. What do you think will happen to him if I stop watering him? Yeah, he probably won't be growing any more hair if I did that. Well, I hope you enjoyed this activity. I know I did. Tune in next time, okay? And until then, craft on. Bye, guys.
Can you see me? Can you see me flying by your side?
Welcome back to Autism Live. Our very special guest in the studio right now is Nicky DeNocker, and Nicky is our fabulous new production assistant. So if you have written into the show and you've gotten an email back from Nicky, this is Nicky. And such a thrill to have you working with us, first of all. You are an amazing young woman, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You are so intelligent and have such a giving spirit. And
Thank you.
Well, I'll give you a second to talk. At some point, I'll take a breath. But and it's been such a lovely thing having you here. You have added so much to the show. But then on top of all that, I'm talking to you the other day, and you mentioned that you were going to be on the radio, and we asked what for. And so tell us why you were being featured on the radio.
So I was nominated to be the Hero of the Week because I make these like bags for homeless people with just like some things that I think they might need, and I guess people found out about it, and I was nominated, and so I talked about it on the radio a bit.
That's amazing. Yeah. And you know, there have been so many gifts that doing Compassion in Action has given me personally, and one of them is in talking about showing compassion. I'm hearing from people all the things that they're already doing. So it wasn't, we have to be very clear that you didn't start to do this a couple of weeks ago. You've been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
How long?
Probably for like 3 years.
That's amazing.
But it's like, it's developed. Like at first it was just some snacks, and now it's like these whole care packages that have, you know, different things. Yeah.
And so can we ask you to tell everybody at home how old you are?
I'm 17.
Okay, so 17, and you've been doing this for 3 years. That's pretty amazing and very inspirational. So you make these bags, and I asked you to bring a bag of goodies, the kinds of things that you put into these bags. So show us. We're not doing an advertisement for the 99-cent store, but you can get some really life-changing things at the 99-cent store.
Exactly. Like, that's why it's so easy to make these, because a bag for like a person that can really help them is only like $5 at the 99-cent store.
And how many times have we all been in a place where we've seen somebody who's homeless and your heart kind of goes out to them, but we've been taught to not look, not stare, not acknowledge, not give attention. Sometimes that feels really inappropriate. You want to be able to give something, but a lot of times people get concerned about, well, if I give money, is it going to make things worse for the person? Will they spend it on drugs or alcohol? Am I helping them? Am I being codependent? But I love that you have something fabulous to do. So show some of the things.
Okay, so first I have this just bag of pretzels.
Okay.
Here's like a water bottle, some socks.
Lovely.
A first aid kit, which I think you can get them at the 99-cent store.
Awesome.
This is like a card I wrote that has like homeless shelters nearby in their area. So,
and how fabulous is that it's handwritten? I mean, that's, there's a part of me that goes, how you can just like put this on the computer and spit them out over and over and over again and take less time, but there's something very sweet about it, that it's handwritten, that the person realized you took some time and some effort. Because part of what I have heard from people, I have friends who've been homeless before, and people that I've met, they've said, it's a very dehumanizing event in a life. And to get a handwritten note like that is a very humanizing thing.
Well, yeah, sometimes like I worry that I don't want to like insult them in any way, and especially telling them where homeless shelters are. I don't want anyone to feel weird about it, but it's not very, it's personal, but I don't ever talk to them again. So it's just kind of like, if this can help them, then it's worth it,
Cool.
And then also like a toothbrush.
Awesome.
Some like shampoos and conditioner and soap, which basically I just get the ones from hotel rooms. Like if you don't finish them, you can always just, because they basically they don't really reuse soap or anything like that. So it's kind of a waste. So
and what a great size, because it's not going to be heavy or anything. So what a great thing to do anytime you go and stay in a hotel is to take those and put them aside and either donate to somebody like Nicky, who's going to give bags, or maybe make a bag yourself. So what else you got in there? This is a fabulous goodie bag.
Okay, yeah. I have a few granola bars.
Okay.
Here's some more shampoo. A little like candy bar, just because I got that at the 99-cent store, and then some chapstick, and then these are just little cards that have like inspirational quotes, sort of.
Lovely.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so and then when you put together a bag, and it's pretty free form, each bag is a little bit different, and do you put it in just like a regular plastic bag to give?
Yeah. At first, I wanted to make it in like a nicer like box or something, but I realized that wouldn't really be functional for them anyways.
Yeah.
And
so
I can just, like, these are the bags that I buy the stuff in, so.
Yeah. So keeping the cost low, making it functional, and quite honestly, and this is a terrible thing to say, but, the reality of it is that the plastic is something that helps to keep warm, too. It can be put in a shoe. People who really need help will use everything that you give, and it really is a functional item. So, Nicky, how many of these do you put together? Do you just like keep a couple in the car? What's the plan?
Okay, I think I usually make like 10 at a time, and then I keep some in my car, and then I'll just keep them in my car all the time, and then if I see someone, I'll pull over and give it to them. Or you know how like you'll be pulling out of the freeway, and there'll be like some homeless people standing there sometimes. Yeah, and then when I run out, I just go get some more from the 99-cent store. So
it's very cool. There are a lot of different exits on the freeway here in Los Angeles where people will park on a daily basis, and they have a sign. Right by me, there's a gentleman who's only there in the summer months, but he's there with his dog, and he has a sign that he flips. On one side, it says, "Need love, please," and then on the other side, it says, I could really use some help. But every time that we drive by, and he has it on the "Need some love, please," my husband and my son insist on stopping, and they like go through the car and find like unopened water bottles or whatever to give. And I love this idea, because then we could have something in the car to give that makes sense and is helpful, and that you could never feel bad about giving this stuff to somebody.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that they can, hurt themselves with these items. Yeah. This is only about taking care and seeing somebody like a human being. So how did you think of doing this? So you were 14?
Yeah, I remember whenever I would drive with my mom, I mean, she would always like pull over. And I remember this one time there was a homeless woman on the side of the road, and we pulled over, and my mom got out of the car and like started talking to her and giving her money. And I was like, I really wish that we could give them, you know, more and like give them something that could actually help them, like definitely.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I just had the idea to start making these, and it kind of like evolved into this. So
it's really amazing. And I also love that it's all non-perishable. Like even if the pretzels sat in your car for a month, they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And the same thing with if you get, you know, a decent granola bar, they just have a shelf life that's like a year.
Yeah.
So there's no time limit on it. And people now have started giving you things, right? Like the hotel soaps and things.
The hotel soaps, yeah. That's really nice of people. I really love when people do that. And when we have like a lot of leftovers, just this weekend, my mom suggested that I use a bunch of our leftovers for these bags. So
very cool. I'm very impressed with you as a person, and this just makes me more impressed with you as a person, because it's truly remarkable. And the water bottle is a great idea too, because it's reusable. Hadn't really thought about that. Did you get that at the 99-cent store?
Yeah, I did.
Really amazing, the kinds of things you can get at the 99. And the socks too. We do a drive here every year in the fall for the teenage homeless shelters, which don't even get me started. That makes me so emotional to think of teenagers out on the streets, and yet we know in the city of Los Angeles that there are thousands of teenagers that are out there. And the number one things that they had asked for were socks and backpacks.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, and when you think about that, and think about the teenagers in your lives that are out there, and what the kinds of things that they are asking for, and think about these kids asking for socks and backpacks, it just rips my heart open. And the impact that you could make on a life doing this is just truly amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing how thankful they are, especially when you know, they don't even know what I'm giving them. I'm just giving them like a plastic bag full of things, and some people think that they will, you know, sometimes people might be rude to me, but no, like they're really kind.
Wow.
They're really thankful.
So it isn't that you drive out specifically to go, it's just in the course of your life, you've got them in the car, and when you meet somebody. Really remarkable, Nikki. And I want to remind everybody, this is something that you could do easily, or if it's something that for whatever reason you can't do, maybe there's somebody that you know that is willing to do it, that you could donate items to them to help them to do it. Because you don't have to do this alone. If you feel uncomfortable being the person who actually delivers it, maybe you can talk to a friend and say, hey, if I buy the pretzels and the socks, will you put them in your car, and do it in that way together, and you can really make a change. It is compassion in action, but Nikki was doing it a long time before we came up with the idea of compassion in action.
Thanks.
You're wonderful, and we encourage people, you can talk to Nikki here at the show, and she has been a lovely addition to the show, and this is life-changing.
Thank you.
It's really wonderful.
Yeah,
I can't wait to do this with my son. He will get really into this. He will think that this is a really cool thing.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll love it.
And I, you know, there's something about when you're young and you haven't gotten cynical yet. He, of course, wants to help everybody. And I tend to be the more cynical and think, I get into the fear thing about, you know, who is this person? Are they going, if we give them money, are they going to use it to get high, which I don't want to do, right? But this I can get behind. This is exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing and for doing this. Wonderful. We're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about stress, our stress tip for the week. So stick with us. Currently in the United States, 1 in 88 children is affected by autism. 1 in 88 means something different when your child is the one. Recovery is possible. Hi, I'm Shannon Penrod, host of Autism Live, an online show about autism broadcast by CARD, the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. I'm also the mother of a child with autism, my beautiful son, Jem. You know our old joke, guess what?
Chicken butt.
Chicken butt. So we're going to take the chickens. But things weren't always so easy. I remember when Jem was first diagnosed with autism. I used to lay awake at night in bed and pray for someone or something that could help us to get our child back. My prayers were answered by Dr. Doreen Grandpichet and the Center for Autism and Related Disorders. CARD treats autism and other related disorders using the principles of ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, which is the only scientifically proven effective treatment for autism. It is also recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the U.S. Surgeon General. About a year after we started treatment with CARD, we were able to see tremendous improvement, and we got our child back.
What grade are you in?
Second.
You are a smart cookie, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Do you like school?
Yeah.
Do you have any good friends?
Yeah, Oscar.
Oscar is your best friend?
Yeah.
And my child is just one of thousands to benefit from CARD ABA therapy. Across the nation and around the world, children are making amazing progress and being given the keys to unlock their full potential.
We are extremely grateful for the amazing job CARD has done in helping our daughter. Our daughter today, just in 4 months, I think is a totally different child than when she started with CARD. I kind of see it as, it seems like her brain in a way was asleep, and now that we've gotten so many services, we've seen her wake up.
Did you have some glasses?
Recovery is possible if you take the right steps, if you're willing to put in all the hard work. And 7.5 years, yeah, it's a lot of work. It's worth every little bit, and CARD's been there with us every step of the way.
I have 2 children with autism. I can't imagine a day without CARD or the therapists. They've been so instrumental in helping us with our kids and shaping their lives and helping us help them.
Thank you, Christina Big Alex. Thank you, Jackie and Mariana.
We've tried other things before ABA, but the most beneficial thing has been ABA services, and I'd be the first person to tell any newly diagnosed family that you have to contact an ABA provider, and if you're lucky enough to have CARD, you're very blessed.
Recovery from autism is absolutely a possibility. We've been recovering children for over 20 years. It's just a matter of identifying the child's medical needs, understanding the child's sensory issues, and then teaching the child all of the skills they need in order to function normally.
We know there's hope for autism. Autism is treatable, and recovery from autism is possible. Welcome back to Autism Live. We're going to talk a little bit about stress, and today we're going to introduce, I think we've talked about it briefly before, but the power of the positive assumptive question. That we all are moving through our lives on a daily basis, and we kind of have an inner monologue, right? Just our brain is thinking and working, and we're talking to ourselves, and depending on what we're saying to ourselves, it's really going to have an impact on how we look at the day, how we look at ourselves, how we look at other people, and how we experience things. And this is all hand in hand with stress, right? And when we realize the power of the positive assumptive question, it's life-changing. It absolutely is life-changing. We use this all the time with our kids when we're asking them, when we're doing a preference assessment. So when we're talking to a child or even a baby, when we're setting up 3 things beforehand and seeing which thing they're drawn towards, we're trying to see what they want to work for. Well, the positive assumptive question there is that they are going to do some work and they're going to make some progress. I know that years ago, my mother told me the story of when she was pregnant with me. She was reading one of Dr. Spock's books, and that he talked about the power of the positive assumptive question when dealing with any children, and said if you want your child to go to college, then you say to them things like, well, when you go to college, do you want to do this or that? You've put the positive assumption in that they are going to go to college, and that it forms ideas in their brain and becomes part of their self-talk, and it will be something that more than likely, of course it's not 100%, but that they will more than likely achieve. And my mother thought this was a great experiment, and so she would always say to me as a child, where do you want to go to college? Or when you go to college, do you want to live close to home or far from home? And I can tell you that it was never in my mind forever that I was not going to go to college. And I was the first person in my family to go to college. And which was shocking to me because I just assumed that everyone went to college. Well, we can take this technology, if you will, and we can use this in our day to reduce stress. So asking ourselves the positive assumptive question of, what do I want to do today to be kind to myself? What would be fun for me today? What could I eat today that would be healthy and taste good? What kind of exercise would I enjoy doing today? Whenever we ask ourselves the right question and ask it in a positive assumptive way, we leave room for a yes. And our brains love to say yes. So let's look at the opposite of it, the negative assumptive. When we make statements to ourselves or ask questions of ourselves, like, how could you have done this again? Why can you never get this right? Why do you always seem to be, fill in the blank, right? We will talk to ourselves sometimes in a way that sets us up for the brain to say, yes, you are always late and you will never, ever be on time. Yes, you are fill in the blank, right? Yes, you are a lazy person. Yes, you are a slug. Whatever it is, a lot of times we talk to ourselves in ways that are not kind. But if today, it's like a new toy, play with it. Ask yourself, what could I do today that would help me to reduce stress? The positive assumptive question there is that there is something that you can do to reduce stress. And your brain will say yes to that and give you an answer. What will you do today to reduce stress? So ask yourself the positive assumptive question. Ask your children the positive assumptive questions. We say to Jem all the time now about, so when you go to college, and then we'll say something on top of it. Do you want to study this or do you want to study that? And we have a lovely conversation about it. And I know that he plans on going to college, and more than likely, unless, suddenly in his senior year he says, actually, I've decided I want to do something else. But it is part of his makeup that he wants to do that. I had a lovely morning this morning. The Powerball has just come to California, and riding into work, I had all these things that I needed to think about. And instead, I think the Powerball this week is $74 million. And so I had a lovely time in the car saying to myself, okay, I have $74 million. How do I want to spend it? And I arrived here at work this morning and was so relaxed. You would have thought that somebody gave me $74 million. And I think quite honestly that if I had $74 million, there would have been an element of stress to that. Let's be honest, right? But what stress we would take, right? But I arrived here happy and content and thinking about all these wonderful things that I'd like to do with $74 million. And that alone is a stress relief. Do I have the $74 million? Well, not today, but maybe sometime down the road I will. In any case, I felt like I had $74 million, and that's a keeper feeling. So ask yourself the positive assumptive questions. And it can be, okay, I have $74 million. How do I want to spend it? Or it can be, what do I want to do today that would be really fun? What would make me happy to do today? How can I do something so pleasurable that it reduces my stress today? How can I feed myself really well today? What's the most wonderful thing that I could do for myself today? All good questions. Ask the right question and you can help to reduce your stress. Hey, it's free. You can't beat that, right? So definitely ask the positive assumptive questions. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back after these messages.
Skills is an online program that provides assessment, curriculum, positive behavior support planning for challenging behavior, and progress tracking, and it does this all in one place. The skills assessment and curriculum addresses 8 areas of development, which even includes advanced higher level areas such as executive functions and cognition, which pretty much makes skills the only ABA-based set of curricula for teaching more complex skills, things like problem solving, planning, self-management, perspective taking, and even inferring and predicting others' private events. Skills is a 4-step system. Step 1 is to add the child to your account. Step 2 is to start assessment. The skills assessment is the only ABA-based assessment with psychometric research demonstrating the language subscale to have excellent reliability. Every area of human functioning and typical child development from infancy to adolescence was researched, making the skills assessment the most comprehensive of its kind in the world, and we're quite proud of that.
Skills is easy to use. Simply click Start Assessment and begin answering questions. Or simply type in a keyword, find specific activities to assess, and add activities to treatment. Step 3. Choose activities. Once you've completed the assessment, Skills selects from a pool of 4,000 activities categorized by age, level, and skill type to provide you with exactly those activities each child needs. Start by choosing a curriculum, then a lesson, and finally an activity. Click the information icon to view prerequisites, ages in which targets develop, examples, and IEP goals. Click the video icon to watch a short video. Once you've identified an activity you want to teach, adding activities to treatment is a snap. Step 4. Start treatment. Here you can access customizable activity lesson details, add your own customized targets and exemplars, and edit an activity status such as introducing or mastering it. You can even print handouts such as worksheets, tracking forms, visual aids, and other materials. Skills also offers multiple progress charts mapping curriculum progress, lesson progress, and cumulative number of activities and targets mastered over time. The Skills language curriculum is categorized by verbal behavior type so that users can identify progress for verbal operants, such as echoics, mans, tax, and interverbals.
Skills is one of the only programs that provides the ability to write behavior intervention plans, or BIPs, for challenging behavior.
With just a few clicks, the outline of the behavior intervention plan is written for you and ready to be printed and implemented.
You can learn more about Skills today and get started by visiting us at www.skillsforautism.com, or you can call us at 877-975-4559. Skills. Progress starts here.
Welcome back to Autism Live. I'm Shannon Penrod, and I'm taking a look at some of the answers to the question of the day. And we hadn't had a chance last week to go over some of the questions that we had from the Compassion, and I promised that we would because they're really pretty amazing. One of the questions we had, who has shown you or your child compassion? And our good friend Liz Becker wrote in and said, over the years, aides, teachers, one coach, his brother, his doctor, anyone who knows me, my students, my coworkers. So I guess as an advocate for autism awareness, people know what my son deals with and extend compassion and empathy. It's those that never knew that find it hard to be, well, a good human. You know, it's tough making the decision about whether you disclose whether your child is on the spectrum. And I know for those of you who are watching that are also on the spectrum, it isn't something necessarily that you want to start the conversation with, right? Maybe it comes up down the road. But there are times when people, and I myself have been guilty of this, where I see someone engaging in a behavior and I go, what are they doing? And I have a reaction to it without putting it, even still, even now, I find myself having to take a moment and go, okay, I don't know what the situation is here. Excuse me. And it's entirely possible that this person, whether it's autism or something else, is dealing with things that I am not aware of. And I think over the years, I hope I'm just going to continue to get better and better and better at getting to that filter earlier as opposed to later, and realizing, okay, I don't know. I need to take the perspective of I don't know, but something is going on there, and show compassion. But I do think it's a learned behavior and a muscle that needs to be exercised on a regular basis. Somebody else wrote in and said, we walk this path alone. In fact, we have lost friends because of autism. And you know it is their loss because our boy is wonderful, and they are missing out on the experience of his wonderful achievements and his unconditional love. Our boy is our world. I just think that is absolutely amazing. Our friends over at Autism Will Not Define My Son, they wrote in and said, OMG, my family for sure. My boss just went through a separation, an eldest daughter moving out both on the same day, leaving my son's schedule for therapy schedule hanging. My in-laws stepped in and took my son for an extra day during the week. In addition, one of his therapists stepped up to take him to school 3 days a week. With all the evaluations and doctor appointments and schedule changes, my boss has been beyond compassionate. Now that it is just me and my son, I thought it was going to be so much harder, but with the compassion of these people, they have made this whole thing so much more tolerable. Isn't that amazing? Somebody else wrote in and said, Murphy, my son's stepmother. Okay, here's one. Yesterday, my son was having a stress-filled afternoon. To say the least, he was somewhat loud and animated in his frustration while we were in a Panera Bread. Instead of being insensitive and looking right at him with big, questionable eyes, one out of the 3 people taking orders said, "Hey, buddy, how are you today? Are you hungry? You look like you want one of these cookies. Would you like peanut butter or chocolate chip?" My son chose chocolate chip, and my son just laughed loudly and smiled. What was frustration turned out to be happiness because of the kindness of a stranger. This man didn't have to speak to my son because he wasn't the one that was taking our order. He was just being kind to me and my son. The man smiled and said, "Have a good day, buddy." I won't forget him the next time I go to this restaurant. He showed my son compassion. There are some people who see our family and help any way they can, even if it's with a "hey, buddy." I appreciate that. It helped me order lunch for my family. We didn't have to stay in the car. People like this make it easier to take our kids out. Thank you, Panera Man. That's a lovely, lovely story. Bill Wong, who we recently had on the show, who is on the spectrum, but also an OT, he said, "I have too many OT practitioners and students over my career that I cannot count. From my instructors to my clinical instructors to my OT school classmates to people I meet at OT conferences to people I just know online for now." Absolutely amazing. And we've got more stories here that people have written in about compassion. But I encourage you to go to our Facebook page. If you haven't liked us already, I encourage you to go there and read some of these amazing stories that people have written in. We asked, what's the greatest act of compassion you've ever seen? And somebody said, after a miscarriage, seeing a couple of friends show up unexpectedly at my door holding a bunch of flowers and my favorite ice cream, a visual I will never forget. There was another one here. We all love this story here. Somebody wrote, my son, while playing with his friends, laid his Nintendo DS down at our neighborhood park. We live in a housing area with our own park fenced in. He came home forgetting to get it and went back immediately to get it. The Nintendo was gone. I put a message out on our community website and sent a message to our HOA president explaining that my son left it by accident and that he's autistic. He always keeps track of his things, so he was very upset. No one returned it. The next day, someone in our neighborhood responded to my message and asked if the game had been returned. I told him no. He asked my address, what color the Nintendo was, and I'm going to get emotional, and what game was in it, and said he would be going to purchase a brand new one for him. He also would not tell me his name or deliver it to us personally. We found the bag with a new game on our porch. And what I know for sure is how much that meant to that family. And I know for sure that that gentleman who went and replaced the Nintendo felt better about everything that was going on in his life. I have no idea what was going on in his life, but I'm 100% sure that he felt better having had the opportunity to do that for a family. Because it's true, when we do things for other people, we feel better. It's the gift that keeps on giving. So amazing stories of compassion, and I think it's wonderful, to show compassion. I think it's great to receive it, right? We all like that. But also to thank people when they've been compassionate in your life, to thank them and let them know how much it meant. And sometimes you can't thank the actual person, because in this case, you know, they don't know who the gentleman is, but being able to put that out into the world, don't we all feel better? And his gift keeps on giving, knowing that this man was able to do this for this child. Absolutely wonderful. And we're starting to, you guys are writing in on the things that you want to talk about this week with safety. We definitely have elopement on the list here. I see that there are a couple of comments on elopement. So we are going to go to the A word. It is time for the A word. I need a tissue, excuse me. It's a very emotional day. Mondays frequently are. In any case, the A Word is an amazing ongoing documentary being made here at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders, following a little boy, Jack Riley, as he begins his early intensive behavioral intervention. And at this point, he's about 9 months into having ABA in the home, an intensive amount of ABA in the home. And we're seeing a tremendous amount of progress. The number of lessons that he's working on has grown exponentially. They're taking on some of the big guns right now, taking on his sensitivity to food. They're really stepping up. He's got functional communication on a lot of different areas, but really stepping it up. And they're doing that where they move the goalposts, where, you know, maybe at first he learned the label for something and he learned how to request it. And now they're making him add words to the sentences. So instead of saying cookie when he wants a cookie, or pancake because he loves pancakes, instead of saying pancake, he's having to say, I want pancake, and I want pancake please, or I want pancake Jessica. So getting to those full sentences. We're not yet at conversation, right? And sometimes when you're in it, it feels painstakingly slow, but he's going to get there. I know. I've had him here in the studio having a conversation with me. So take a look. This is the A word.
Every month, Jack Riley's case supervisor, therapists, and parents meet to check in with one another. During clinic, they determine what skills have been mastered and what new lessons should be added.
Put the line under the truck. Where'd it go? Oh, does that count? Under. Oh no! What sound does the lion make? Roar. Roar. Can you put the lion in front of the truck?
It's more fun that way.
Roar. Good job. Open. Open. Well, hold on. Put the lion behind the truck.
Okay, so I'm going to add prepositions. Use reference objects that has all the obvious sides, and make sure that the objects that you're using, like the reference object or the target object that has to manipulate, is not something that's too fun, because then you want him to start playing with it. So just sort of keep it neutral items.
In the lesson prepositions, they first start with on top, since Jack Riley can clearly see what's being referenced. Once he understands that preposition, they'll include more complex ones, such as underneath or behind. The reason those are complex is that the child cannot see what is being referenced.
Do you know how many Tonka trucks your dad had?
You didn't save them for him?
No. About the time I was 40, I didn't think I was going to have any kids.
And now look at you.
Look at me now.
Slow down. Slow down.
Look, you gotta get 5. 5? Good. And you can go play, okay? Sit better, okay? Look. It's a monkey.
It's a monkey.
No point to next one.
It's a monkey. It's a potato.
Good.
In this lesson, they are stringing together mastered labels to make sure Jack Riley remembers them all. This exercise works on his language fluency.
Oh, he did it!
I wish you
Here,
could
there's a sticker.
his face. He was so proud of himself.
And
The
he
little
wasn't
like
waiting
half
for you.
smirk. So cute.
Look, here you go.
Cracker.
Cookie. This is going to be a fun program. Yes. Okay, here you go.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Say, can I? Stop talking. Can you say, can I have the guitar? Sure. There you go. Turn it on.
What guitar?
Say, can I?
Guitar.
Sure. Here you go. Yay. Here you go. Do you want more?
Purple iPhone.
You want the purple iPhone? All right, we can work with that too.
That's a bit.
What?
That's a bit.
Oh, it is an elephant. What color is it?
Pink.
Say, it's a. Oh, bless you. Say, it's a pink elephant.
A pink has a bit.
There you go. It is a pink elephant.
It was only 9 weeks ago when we first saw Jack Riley independently tagged with joy detention, and in that time he's become a lot more vocal. Jack Riley is needing less prompting to speak, and his speech isn't only reserved for manding, but is becoming more and more social. He wants to engage others in his experience instead of using people only as tools to receive objects that he wants.
What do you...
Why iPhone?
Can
iPhone?
Okay, say, can I have?
iPhone?
Okay, you say.
Can I have iPhone?
Say, can I have?
iPhone?
Say, can I have?
iPhone?
Say, have?
Can I iPhone?
Good trying, buddy. That's a good try. Here you go. Kind of all slurred there. It's okay. So that's a new target we have in Mans. We're trying to expand his frames of asking for things because he's so good about saying, I want, and give me. So we want him to start asking in different ways. So Sabrina wanted us to start teaching him, can I have, and then we'll expand to may I have. As you saw in clinic, she wants us to work on fluency too, and he's getting a lot better with the it's a item. I don't know if you remember like footage from like months ago when we were doing labels and all he wanted to say was the object. Like he didn't want to say it's at all. What is it? Say it's. Yeah, it's a chicken. Good job. 2 more stickers. Look.
What do you mean by language fluency?
Oh, so that when he speaks, it's more fluid. It's not like broken up, and it's not slurred either. Right? Yay! There you go, buddy. Very good. That was very good. He picked it up really fast. Still slurred, but nonetheless, still pretty good. But I guess as you can see, like through your footage, like he picks up things in like a couple trials, and he already knows it. All right, my turn. Do you want more penguin?
More penguin.
Okay. It's a pillow.
It's a pillow. It's a rip. It's a door. It's a bear. It's a pie.
Say, it's a slide.
It's a slide.
There you go. Nice job. Thanks.
It's a potato.
Good.
It's a cat.
Good boy.
It's a toothbrush.
Good job.
It's a ladybug.
Uh-huh.
It's a couch.
Good boy. That was really good. He's really getting those ending sounds in the words. It's really good. Yeah, the way he articulates the different sounds in the words, because a lot of those words are really hard to say. It's really good compared to what it was like when we initially taught him. And I know we added the words that he can't articulate very well in echoics, and I guess that helped too. But just hearing the fluency and the way he says it is really good. I'm impressed.
But he seems like he's really trying to.
Yeah, and he makes all the sounds in the words now versus, he'll just slur the words like before. Like, what word did he say? It was really good. I don't remember, but like chicken would have been like a slurred word. Like I don't know. I don't even remember. But
it's like shisho.
Yeah, but he really tries to articulate every sound now, especially the ending sounds too, like cat and dog. Like he really tries. It's really good. A lot of progress.
Are you Bobby?
Huh?
You are so smart, Jack Riley.
Are you a bobblehead?
So lucky.
Huh? What? Whoa. What? Whoa, what? What? Say it again. Were you saying something? What? So you're a monkey? What? Okay, I'm here. What? You want to look?
Look.
See, I want to look.
I want to look.
Okay. What do you want to see? Can you sing to the camera? Wait, look at who is that?
Jack Riley.
Jack Riley? Can Jack Riley say hi? Say, how are you doing? Oh, you want to look at yourself. Come on, show off. Whoa.
Hi.
Say, I'm Jack Riley.
I'm Jack Riley.
Welcome back to Autism Live. That was the A Word. It's an amazing documentary, and I want to talk just about two quick things. First of all, the importance of a clinic, because we talk on this show about ABA therapy and getting ABA therapy and getting an ABA provider. And, of course, you know, my son went through CARD, and we are in the CARD headquarters. So, of course, we talk about CARD, and I can wholeheartedly recommend CARD. I know exactly what it's like, and I know how amazing it is. There are lots of other really good ABA providers. The problem becomes figuring out when you're out in the world, and if you don't have access to CARD, is your ABA provider top notch? And you guys write in a lot of times and say, some of you have written in and said, we're getting ABA, but I don't think we're getting the kind of ABA you're talking about. Or other people saying, you know, I want to make sure I get this kind of ABA therapy. What are some things that I look for to know whether my ABA provider is doing a good job? Well, certainly one of the things on the list of must-haves with an ABA provider is that they are doing some sort of regular clinic. If you are at the Center for Autism and Related Disorders and your child is starting with an intensive program, you're going to have a clinic that's 2 hours long every other week. And this is an opportunity for everybody who is working with the child, including the parents, to sit in a room, usually with the child, and go through and strategize and tweak things and practice. It's a time of checking to make sure, are we being as efficient and as effective as we want to be? Are we doing what's right for this child? Do we need to tweak something? Because remember, ABA is a very fine art. There is nothing about this that is one size fits all, because our kids are not one size fits all. So having an opportunity every 2 weeks to see, are we on target? What do we need to add? What do we need to take away? What is the child master? Do we need to change the mastery criteria? Do we need to teach this in a different way? Do we need to use different stimuli? It is an amazing, amazing thing to be in a clinic with your child, with a team of people that are all there for your child and figuring it out in the process. My child made huge leaps sometimes in the clinic room, because it may be that, you know, we go 2 weeks. I think about when we were teaching him to count to 100. He was in kindergarten and he had been at grade level the whole year, but by the 100th day of kindergarten, they have to be able to count to 100. And we had been working on it for a while, and we'd worked on it in lots of different ways, and we kept coming in for clinics and trying other things, and he wasn't getting it. He could count to 20, 22, and then it degraded for him. He just couldn't figure out that it was another set of 10, and you just put another number in front of it that corresponded with, the 20 and the 30. It wasn't gelling for him, and we had worked on it. And it was the night before the day when they give the test, and they get a special necklace. It's the 100th day of school, and they can count to 100, and Zero, the superhero, comes to school that day. And I remember coming to that clinic and saying, guys, it's the 12th hour now. He's got to be able to speak to 100. And Peter Farrig saying, I've got an idea. I think it's the whole, he gets it, but he doesn't have the concept. We haven't taught him the concept, and this is how we're going to do it. And he went in the corner and wrote some stimuli on some cards and came back in, and in 5 minutes it was done. He had taught my son in front of all of us in a way that we had not explored, right? And that's the key to clinics. It's a bunch of brilliant minds coming together, knowing the child is there, and figuring out the way we're going to teach this child, because it is very individual and very child specific. So if you're not having a clinic on a regular basis, if you've got an ABA provider and they're saying, oh, here, we're doing this lesson, and they're not including the parents, I gotta say, that's not going to get the job done, in my experience. All the people I've talked to and what I've experienced as a parent, everybody in the team has to get together and see what's happening and tweak things. So make sure that you're getting that kind of time, and your funding source should be requiring it, because it's what's been shown to be effective. So want to put that out there. But also want to put out there, we got to see a perfect preference I can't talk. I'm just borrowing these lips. A preference assessment that she was asking him, what do you want to work for? And of course, she was holding the iPhone. And before, this little boy was saying phone, 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 right? But now he's saying, I want phone. Or can I have the guitar? We saw that too. So we're making that longer sentence. And it's hard. There's nothing more, I think, hopeful, but also hard to see somebody working that hard, right? Your heart just goes out to this little boy. He's standing there, he says, I have iPhone, and he's trying to say the whole thing, but I have iPhone. And she makes him go back. She's really good at gauging how far can I push him without getting him to the point of frustration. We're going to show it again on Thursday, but you might want to go back and watch it again, because that first time he can't quite get all the words together. And she's holding the phone and she's showing it to him, and she say, Ken, I have, and he just wants to say the whole thing because he wants that phone so bad. When a child is willing to work that hard to get something, that's a true reinforcer. Look at how many times she tries to get him to say it, and he doesn't quite get it right, but she lets him have it. And she says, he's trying so hard, I got to give it to him. Because we don't want to get to the point where they're so frustrated that they say, I just don't want to do it. I am not as good at gauging that as she is. There are lots of times even now that in working with my son, sometimes he'll say, never mind, which means I push too far. We want to make sure that we give it to them before they get to the frustration, and you see that it's the same day, and a little bit later on, he's had enough opportunities that he's able to do it on his own. And he's thrilled, and he's smiling, and he's playing on the phone. That's how we get things done. Moving the goalposts just enough to push them, but not to the point where they're frustrated, and then reinforce, reinforce, reinforce. With something, it's got to be the thing that really lights them up. And clearly, with a lot of kids too, and not all of them, but with a lot of kids, it's the technology. He's loving that iPhone, and you gotta love that, because look at how hard he worked, and he overcame the difficulty so that he could have the iPhone. We'll talk more about this episode on Thursday, but we have to take a quick break, and then Alex Plank is here. We love Alex, and he's a regular with us now on Monday, so we're gonna bring him into the studio. Alex, of course, the creator of wrongplanet.net, a wonderful site that we encourage those of you who are a little bit older on the spectrum. It's a must. You must check it out. There's so much information there. And if you have children that are teenagers, even some stuff for tweens or a little bit older, I would encourage you to check out the site and check it out with your child on the spectrum. All right, we're going to take a break, and then we'll bring Alex in. And your questions, keep them coming in on the live feature. Stick with us.
You say howdy, we say hi. Let's get rowdy, let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild. Let's get wild.
Hi, welcome back to Autism Live. I'm Lisa Ackerman. We're here doing allergy-free cooking, and I brought my sister with me today.
Jamie Davis, thanks for having me.
A lot of people are asking about an allergy-free breakfast, and breakfast can be full of crap.
But it's full of crap, and it's hard to do. We don't have time in the morning. We're in a hurry.
We're going completely nut-free. The recipe is not...
Personality, we can't do anything
can't
about.
do anything about that. So we're going to start off first with, I'm using sorghum and brown rice flour. I find the texture good, and I've added some flaxseed meal. We talked about that last time, flaxseed meal for poop. Almost every one of our kids has a poop issue. What's next on the recipe is the quinoa flakes, baking powder, cinnamon, and the xanthan gum. It brings the glutinous texture back into the flour. And often what happens with these recipes is they can fall apart. This one holds up nicely. I like it. For the folks that are egg-free, we have a ton of egg replacers. One of those can be the arrowroot starch or bringing back some additional flaxseed. So there's a lot of options to go eggless, but we're going to go egg-full in this one. For sweetener, I use the maple syrup. I stay away from refined sugar. What I'm adding now is the coconut milk, maple syrup, and a little bit of the coconut oil. And we're going to add in the raisins, craisins, and chocolate chips at the end. I find that chocolate chips can coax people to eat some really amazing things. When we started, Jeff had 42 food allergies, so we had to get creative in how we cooked. So nuts were a big, big issue. What I like now is that he can tolerate so many more things after start doing this diet. So let me show you how you can deal with this sticky stuff here. You get your fingers really wet, and you can push it down. So my oven has been preheated. It's at 350 degrees. So we're going to just throw this in. Like I said, I like it around 23 minutes, and the magic oven says, I'm done. Looks like, don't you love magic ovens? They're awesome. There we go, pops right out. The texture of these, and it's so pretty. It looks almost like a big chocolate chip cookie, but you actually made it healthy. But you can be my guinea pig. Tell me what you think.
That looks really good.
Doesn't it? So the textures and the colors in there are just beautiful. So the raisins are for you, the chocolate chips are for your kid.
I can't believe it's gluten-free.
I know, right? It doesn't taste like, crap. We're wrapping up another cooking show. If you have feedback, you can email us at autismlive@gmail.com. We're, of course, on Facebook. You could go to facebook.com/autismlive. And, of course, Talkin' Now has thousands of recipes. Join me there, and we can cook some more later on. So thanks for joining us.
You say howdy, we say hi. Let's get rowdy, let's get wild. Let's get wild.
Welcome back to Autism Live. It's Monday, so our very special guest in the studio is Alex Plank from wrongplanet.net. Alex, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And you are also a filmmaker. I always want to say Alex from Wrong Planet, and I feel like that's a great thing to say, but you're a filmmaker in your own right. You're a multi-talented guy with a lot of stuff going on. I want to start with talking about this last weekend.
We had a lot of fun. For those of you who don't know, this weekend on Saturday was the Lighted Up Blue concert at Club Nokia with Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Yeah, and we had...
And Jack Black emceed it.
Oh, right.
And he was funny. And
was he?
And I talked to him, and he said, I said, are you on the autism spectrum? And he said that he definitely had some autism traits and might have some Asperger's syndrome. So,
really?
Yeah.
So he identifies himself somewhere, because I always say I'm convinced I'm somewhere on the spectrum. I kind of think we all are. A little bit somewhere.
Well, everyone's on the spectrum somewhere. I mean,
yeah.
It could be on the other end,
right.
Completely not autistic, but
right.
But Jack Black. But the thing about him is that he when he's on stage, he gets into character, and he's like his character. But when he's off, he goes off and doesn't talk to anyone, sort of just like stays to himself. Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is
because he comes across as such an extrovert.
He does, but he's not like that in oh, sorry, my phone's making noises.
My phone will make noises too. It's all good. We're a phone society. We're tied to our phones. It's all good. And we had Nick Guzman in the studio with us on Friday, and,
he
and his mom.
That. They mentioned that. They said that.
Really?
Yeah.
At the show? Well, how sweet of them was that? You mean not just in a private conversation? You mean on stage or in a private conversation?
In a private conversation.
Okay. I was going to say, on the stage?
He just played the guitar. He didn't say anything. He just came on and played and then got off.
And what did you do? A good job?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
got a standing ovation.
Wow, how wonderful. I know his mom posted a video, I think yesterday. I haven't had a chance to look at it, of the finale, the Teach Your Children, with everybody on stage. So I definitely have to check that out. And they were so much fun to have here because it was before the event, so there was all that excitement going on, and a pretty well attended event, would you say?
Yes, it was pretty much sold out from what I could tell, and they brought in seats to put on the floor level too.
Wow!
And it's a pretty big venue.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, it's next to the Staples Center, so
yeah,
it's in that complex.
Pretty big deal. And did you have any official responsibilities, or were you just as a guest?
I was just a guest.
Sometimes that's fun.
It was fun. I was just a guest. I got to hang out with a lot of cool people, some like TV people, some,
Like you want to drop names? Who big did you get to hang out with?
Well, I talked to Gary Cole.
Yeah,
I talked
amazing man. I'm putting you on the spot.
Matt Asner.
Yeah, Matt. And we're hoping to see all these people this Saturday at the walk. Are you going to be at the walk?
I'll be attending for sure.
And for those of you who don't know, Autism Speaks does walks all over the United States, and this Saturday coming up on the 20th is the Los Angeles Walk Now for Autism. It was an event that used to be run by CAN. It was Cure Autism Now, and then they got together with Autism Speaks, and so now
they merged.
Yeah, they merged together.
So now it's just Autism Speaks.
But it's probably, if not the biggest, it has to be one of the biggest walks that happens in the country. And it's one of my favorite events of the year. I get so excited about the walk, and we're going to be there. Autism Live is going to be there interviewing people. But I kind of like it. For you, is it a big deal?
Is it a big deal?
Do you get excited? I get excited about.
I don't know.
Walk.
It's a lot of people.
It certainly is a lot of people, and it's noisy.
I've been to it twice before. Yeah, it's the sound. The sound is hard to do. We have usually have a boom operator when we do our TV show there.
Are you guys going to be filming on Saturday?
Maybe.
So tell people what the TV show is that you
Autism Talk TV. Well, it's an online TV show where we go around and we interview people on the autism spectrum.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of cool people that we've interviewed, everywhere from like the cast of the show Parenthood to recently we did a thing with the Peer Center at UCLA where we did we showed the video of the flirting.
We've shown flirting and we've shown the bullying one here.
Can we show another video today?
Sure. Do we tell us what it is, and we'll get Emily to see if she can. We'll have to see.
At break, I'll ask her.
Okay. Tell us beforehand, usually, because we're not sure if we can.
Just any of the other episodes.
All right. Well,
one of the good ones.
We'll see if we can, because it's a technology thing about whether while we're live, if we can download something. But we'll check it out during the break. But this whole month, there are so many different events. Are you guys going around and covering the different events?
We haven't covered anything yet. I've been working on a TV show, as I mentioned, that's coming out about a character with Asperger's.
Yes, which we're very excited about. Yeah. Not giving a whole lot of information about yet, but we're very excited about when you can talk about it.
I could talk about it, but I've just choosing not to, until a little closer to it, because it doesn't air until July.
But I love the fact that you're consulting on it, because as a parent, it's important to me when I'm watching things for them to be reality-based, and I hate it when I see autism portrayed on TV or in the films, and I don't feel like it's accurate. It drives me bonkers.
It's hard as an actor or an actress in this case to be able to do that when you're not autistic to begin with. I mean, anyone as an actor or actress who portrays a character with autism, it's very difficult, because as an actor you have motivation and you show that motivation through your acting, and there are certain things that you have to sort of tone down a little bit, because on autism you don't show that, so you're playing something a lot flatter.
Yeah.
And so we work, and it's like, but I've been working on it. It's looking really good, and I'm super excited.
I'm excited to see it. I know I was furious when I always get the name of the movie wrong, but it's incredibly close, and you know the one that I'm talking about, extremely close and incredibly loud.
Yeah.
It's something like that, some configuration of that. I always get it wrong. But when the reviews first came out, and one reviewer it really ticked me off that he said, well, I don't know whether it's the kid is trying to play autism or it's just that he's annoying, but the end result is that he's annoying. And it infuriated me.
Yeah. I mean, but it's hard though. I mean, you can come off, cold, but you don't want to come off as cold if you're a lead character in a show.
Right.
So you have to, and if it's played the right way, you can definitely do it where it looks good, and I think...
Yeah, and I think we've had so many examples. I mean, when Claire Danes did Temple Grandin, and Temple, you know, and I'm a huge Temple fan.
She did a great job on that, I think.
But Temple has a very unique way of speaking that's very Temple, that Claire made the commitment that she was going to do that, and the director made the commitment that she was going to talk like Temple, and a whole lot of people were saying, oh, you're just not going to be able to pull that off in a film. And yet, Temple pulls it off in every speech that she ever gives. Temple starts to speak, and maybe for 30 seconds you go, okay, she's got a really interesting cadence, and then you get sucked into her message as a person, you know? So I would have been really disappointed if they had decided to have her speak in any other way, portraying her.
Well, she definitely came across like Temple Grandin.
Didn't she?
To me, I was actually surprised by how much she sounded like Temple Grandin.
Yeah.
And that was really amazing. It shows that Claire Danes obviously spent a lot of time.
Yeah. And then, of course, she was rewarded with all kinds of awards for it, because I think everybody in general agreed that it
won a lot of awards, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm thrilled, though, that you're consulting with this show, and we will be talking more about that show in the coming weeks and months as it gets ready. But you think July is when it's going to be on?
That's what it says on the news.
Okay. All right. We won't say much more about that. All right, we're gonna take a break and see if we can show something that they've been. We're Autism Talk TV. We'll see, but if not, we can send them to wrongplanet.net. That you guys air your stuff there. But there's so much more on Wrong Planet.
Maybe you could show the trailer for my new movie. You know what? You should. But it's 7 minutes long. I don't know if you can show a 7-minute clip, can you?
I don't think it's a question of being. We can show whatever we want. It's a question of having converted it so that we can show it. That becomes the difficulty. But we'll take care of the technical questions during the break. And if not this week, we'll definitely do it next week, because Alex is going to be a regular here. So stick with us. And if you have a question for Alex, now is a great time to send it in. We'll be right back.
Just go like this. Can you see me? Puedes mirarme aquí? Okay. Hi, I'm Rebecca Ishida. Say hi, Ethan. Hi. My son was diagnosed with autism in November 2004. With Ethan, almost immediately, we noticed things that were troublesome, that he just didn't sleep. He would vomit in the crib. There were a lot of sensory issues.
Then you'd have like 20 of the trains lined up, and if you came in and took one train out, just meltdown completely.
Guttural instinct is to think that there's nothing wrong. Who wants to look at their child and go, there's something wrong with that child? You don't. You always want to see the best in your child.
Will my kid be able to go to school? Will he interact with his peers? Will he be able to have a healthy relationship? Will he get married? I really thought that autism was like a death sentence. A lot of hope was given to me through CARD. This was my third agency, and the best agency we had. And there was no way in the world I was going to give up CARD because of the gains I saw Ethan was having.
You did it!
And I remember when Doreen saw us for the evaluation, she says, but by the time he's 6, he will be recovered. And that's exactly what happened.
I'll fix that.
Welcome back to Autism Live. We're here with Alex Plank, and we're encouraging him to eat breakfast. So he's here. They've just brought in breakfast for him. So it's now a breakfast meeting. And I love that. It's a live show. We should be encouraging people to eat something. We need craft services here. That's what we need.
Oh my God, on the show I'm working on, they have like everything you could want. Like when they do lunch, it's like they have sushi, like sashimi. They have like all these different things. It's so nice. You should do that.
We'll see where that is.
You need to have a truck coming.
But yes, no, craft services. You know, on the way in this morning, I was listening to NPR, and they were talking about Google headquarters in New York City.
Free food, right?
Free food, 3 meals a day, but apparently everybody's gaining weight.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, well, you know, I have friends who are in the entertainment business. They said every time they work on a TV show, they end up getting a lot
because that
bigger.
Constant food that's there. They started calling it the Google 10 and the Google 15. You know how they talk about when you go to college, you gain the freshman 10? So they were calling it the Google 10 and the Google 15. But apparently for some people, it's the Google 25. Right.
Ooh, well, that's a lot.
Yeah, I'm sporting the Autism Live 35. I've gained 35 pounds since we started this show.
Really?
And there's no craft services, so I have no excuse. So it was my hair. My hair was very heavy.
Well, now that the hair's gone, you probably lost like at least 40, right?
No, I don't think so. Okay, so we had a question that came in while Alex is taking a minute to eat breakfast. Somebody wanted to know, can we have your first therapist on the show, because for people who want to be a therapist? And absolutely, you know, we've had on the show the first therapist who ever came to our door, that was Peter Farrig, and I keep begging him and asking him to come back on the show. And Peter is kind of busy right now touring the world and going places and supervising things that are overseas. He's spending a lot of time in Dubai and Southern Africa, but we will make him come on the show to talk about that. But we started with a team of people, some of whom are still here and working, but it was 7 years ago, so a lot of our beginning team has moved on to other things.
When did you start this show?
Well, we started this show. Autism Live is just a year old as of the other day.
Okay.
But for
congratulations! Happy birthday!
Thank you. And you know what's really funny? On the day that we had, it happened to be our 300th show. On the day that we had our 1 year anniversary. So
was that before or after you shaved your head?
It was the week before I shaved my head.
Okay.
So, and it was just a coincidence that morning Emily said, "Did you realize this is the 300th show?"
How many people watched you get your head shaved?
You know what? I don't know the numbers on that, but we'll find out from Emily to see. And people are, of course, it's available on video. Have you seen the time-lapse version of it?
I saw the time-lapse.
That you're in? Because Alex was here for the head shaving. It was a little surreal, was it not?
It was weird. It was like, there's hair everywhere.
Yes. It was crazy amount of hair everywhere. There's a picture of me with you and Mark Christopher Lawrence, and the gown had slipped down a little bit, and I had the lower cut shirt I had on. So my hair was bald, but there was like a fur collar, and then there was hair all over my chest. I look like I escaped from a circus, that I'm like the bearded woman and with chest hair, because it had all centered on my chest. It's not my most flattering picture, can I say?
Well, you know what? I think you look great with, and it did bring awareness. I mean, people were like, how is this bringing autism awareness? Because, you know, you're not shaving the head for anyone with autism.
Right.
But
did you experience, because I've certainly experienced more awareness because of it. Have you this week?
Yeah, definitely. People were definitely commenting about it, and you know.
Well, I had an amazing event that happened last week. We went to Disneyland and we were at the Lego store, and I shared this with people, that a gentleman, as I was walking by, said, "Who did you shave your head in honor of?" And I said, well, you know, I work on a show and we're doing autism awareness, so we started Compassion in Action, all of which I think went in one ear and out the other. And I said, but ultimately my act of compassion was for a young dad with cancer. And at that moment he told me that he had lost his daughter, his 7-year-old daughter, to a brain tumor. So we were having this incredible bonding moment, right? We were talking about that, and he wanted to know more information about Ryan Oaf, who's the dad I shaved my head for. So we talked about that, and I was, you know, feeling all this compassion for this gentleman and saying, I have no idea what that would be like. You know, how are you doing? And we were having that whole conversation. And then my son walked up and said, Mom, why are you talking to this strange man, right? And so I was explaining to my son, and so now he starts asking my son questions. And of course, my son looks like he can talk to anybody, but we were in this very loud environment, so he starts asking my son questions, and my son wasn't making good eye contact. He was looking everywhere else, and I could tell on this man's face that he was like, something's different, but he couldn't put his finger on it, right?
I get that. I sometimes, like, in an overwhelming situation, I'll sometimes definitely be in a situation where I have trouble making eye contact.
Really? And he does. He'll have a harder time then. And so, especially a Lego store, you know, which he wants to look at all the Legos. So he was not making good eye. And I could see in the dad's face that look of, what is up here? I don't quite get it, right? There's something, but I can't put my finger on it. And I eventually said to my son, honey, you're not looking at him. You need to look at him. And in that moment, I saw him kind of connect back to the first part of the conversation.
So you saw him process it?
I saw him process it and realize it, and his whole being changed. He had been having this moment talking about his daughter, and then he saw my child and saw that we had some stuff going on, and then everything changed, and he bent down, and he was just so patient and talking with my son.
Because at first he just thought it was some kid, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I've experienced this before where you're having a thing, you're having a moment, and please, he's at Disneyland for the first time without his daughter. He's having a moment, right? But in that moment, I saw him realize that there are more things going on than just that.
Yeah.
And so he kind of leaned over and he put his hand on me and he said, you're doing a really good job. And I knew that he understood that we're still working on stuff with my son.
Yeah.
And then I put my hand on him and said, you're doing a really good job because you're here with your kid.
Yeah.
And I can't even imagine what that's like. And he was saying, I can't imagine what you've been through. And we had that moment of compassion. And I was like, it was a very powerful moment, total stranger, who probably didn't know a great deal about autism because he's been dealing with pediatric cancer. But I walked away and felt like I knew more about this other person and that he knew more about me, and it was a beautiful moment. And I've been having lots of moments like that with people.
It's interesting. I feel like a lot of the people who came to the concert this weekend didn't know about autism. They came because they saw Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Yeah.
And, it's a benefit concert, so that, their money is going towards it. And I feel like people came out of it, though. They didn't expect that there would be people with autism performing on stage.
Yeah. And was there more than just Nick? Was he the only person?
No, it was Rio, the rapper guy.
Oh, I don't know him. We'll have to have him on the show. And
then Lexi.
I don't know Lexi.
She's a singer.
Oh, maybe I do know Lexi.
She's with the Miracle Project.
Okay, I think I do know Lexi.
With Elaine Hall and those folks.
Okay, I think I do know Lexi. We may even have had Lexi on the show. That's how bad I am that I don't remember people's names.
I don't remember names, but I remember faces. I don't either. So
I usually remember faces. Sometimes I incorrectly remember faces. There was somebody on Saturday night that I walked up to and said, "How do I know you?" And we couldn't.
But you didn't know.
I didn't know.
Maybe you did. Maybe you just couldn't figure it out. I've had that happen, possible. And then later, like a week later, I'm like, "Oh, that's where I knew that person from."
That's true. Usually I can figure it out, but because I tend to be very good with faces. Now somebody wrote in, and I'm not sure that I understand the question. They wrote in movie talk. Do you think about the movie Fly Away? And I think they're probably asking, what do we think about the movie Fly Away?
I think it's a really good movie. That's a movie
I have not seen it.
It's directed by Janet Grillo and Ashley Rickards. She's in MTV as Awkward now, but she plays a girl with Asperger's syndrome.
Right.
Or it's not Asperger's, autism. Actually, just autism specifically. And it's a pretty heartfelt story.
So something to, because it's interesting. Have
you seen it?
I have not seen it. I just started watching Awkward.
You should see the movie. She looks. It's a completely different character.
Right.
It's really interesting to watch.
But I just recently I didn't know.
That's what we should show. If we can show a video clip next time, we'll show. I interviewed her, and I interviewed Ashley and Janet.
Okay.
About the film, and we have a little clip from it.
And so you liked it? Did you feel like her portrayal was pretty honest and organic? Cool. There's a lot of things going on right now. I know that Nancy was going to talk to you about, there's a play called On the Spectrum.
Yeah.
And Nancy Alspaugh-Jackson was going to talk to you to see if you wanted to go with her. We had the director and the two leading actors on the show last week, and they're doing a talk back. I believe it's this Thursday. Has Nancy had an opportunity to talk to you about that yet?
No. She hasn't.
Well, I know she was going to see if you wanted to go with her.
That might be something that would be fun.
Yeah,
I think I met the director and the writer.
Well, we had the writer. We didn't have the director. We had the writer and the two lead actors on it.
Oh, you have the writer?
Yeah, we have the
from
writer
New York.
on it. Yes. Well, I think he's from Montana, Minnesota.
Is he?
Used to write on Prairie Home Companion.
Yeah, he's from. You're right. Okay, I was thinking of. The director, I think, is from New York. Right?
Okay,
maybe I'm wrong.
And I don't know. I don't know. The director is somebody who works at the Help Group.
Really?
Yes,
Oh,
does
so
all the
probably...
drama programs at the help group.
Yeah.
So, but we had them on last week, and it very interesting. It's called On the Spectrum. It's at the Fountain Theater.
Yeah. I actually auditioned for that play. I didn't get it.
That's so funny, Alex, because I said they have a young man who is playing the lead, and he's has Asperger's. And I had said, did you try to cast this with individuals on the spectrum? Because the girl's role was originated by a young woman on the spectrum. Mm-hmm. And I said, did you try that when you were in LA? And they said yes, but it ended up that they wanted to do. And I said, you should have met Alex. So you did audition for them.
Yeah.
Well, I need to be your agent.
Yeah. No.
Because I haven't seen the play, but I would be willing to bet you would be phenomenal in it. Well, so the next production, when I direct and you're starring,
are you becoming a director now?
No, that was my background. That's what my master's degree is, in theater, and I taught theater at colleges. And
I feel like I might not be good at auditioning, because because I've been in plays before, but I don't get into the character. It takes me a little bit to get into the character, but once I do,
a lot of people are like that. You know, people who audition aren't necessarily who audition well aren't necessarily good actors, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. There are some people who are brilliant actors who don't audition well.
Maybe I do audition well. I don't know. Well, not well enough.
We can talk about that. Well, not on that day, but they might have been looking for something different. You know, it's always.
But it sounds like an amazing play. I saw reviews, and it got really great reviews because it was playing in the Midwest, right?
Yes,
and they're redoing it now here.
And one of the things that got said in it, I want to talk with you about. But we're going to take a break and come back and talk with Alex. There's the one line where the young lady who is on the spectrum says to the mother of the boy with Asperger's, she says, "If there was a pill that would take away his autism, you would give it to him, wouldn't you?" And it's a very accusatory tone, and I want to talk to you a little bit about that, but we're going to take a break first. All right, so stick with us.
Hi, I'm Shannon Penrod, and this is my son, Jem. We're here today at the Home Depot. You might know that Home Depot is famous for giving free classes to adults on lots of things like tiling and other home crafts. Well, they also have free classes for kids as well. It's called the Kids Workshop. We love doing that, don't we, Jem?
Yeah.
It's cool. So come on inside with us, and let's do a craft.
Yay.
The Kids Workshop is a program that's been around with Home Depot almost since we've been a company, and it's been developed to allow kids in the community to come in and give them an opportunity to build something, to be able to create something, and be able to take just simple wood pieces and put them together with nails and hammers and screwdrivers and then paint them.
So you do this every first Saturday of the month.
Any Home Depot that you go to on the first Saturday of every month between 9 and 12, you can join different associates throughout different stores and build these projects with these kids.
And do they have to do anything beforehand, or can they just show up on that Saturday?
All they need to do is show up. We have all the tools, all the materials that the kids will need. We have aprons that we give to the kids that they can take home and maintain their pins. They get pins on a regular basis for completing projects. With that, they can keep track of how many projects they've done. And
it's all free.
It's all absolutely free, all provided.
Which is wonderful. And listen, I have to say, you know, you guys devised this for all kids to be able to do this.
Correct.
What I particularly love about it as an autism mom, it gives my child a place to come and learn a new skill, to socialize with kids of all kinds.
Absolutely. And that's what we're here for. Home Depot is definitely loves to be involved with the community and bring the community in to work with us. That's what we love to do.
Welcome back to Autism Live. Our very special guest in the studio right now is Alex Plank. Alex is the creator of WrongPlanet.net, and you are also a filmmaker, and you also identify yourself as an individual on the spectrum.
That's right. And yeah.
It looked like you were going to say something.
I was going to say something. I was actually going to say that I remember you were saying earlier that, you know, if you have a kid on the spectrum, there are a lot of parents of really young kids that go on there. There's a parent-specific form on the site.
There you go. Because you're right. I was talking about WrongPlanet.net, and I would encourage everybody to go there because it's a wonderful, wonderful resource. But in particular, I was saying if you're an individual who's on the spectrum, it's a must. You must go to that site and check things out. It's like Disneyland in terms of there's just so many great things to see and do.
I've never been to Disneyland.
Oh, Alex, we have to go to Disneyland.
I've been to Disney World, but I've never been. I heard though that if you have autism at Disney World, that you get to bypass the line.
Well, allegedly, there's the alleged pass that I will tell you all about, but we're not supposed to really talk about it. Disneyland doesn't promote that overly much, but yes, there is an alleged pass that you go and get that means you don't have to stand in the line as long as
if you have a kid with autism.
That's
and
right.
You get up to eight people.
It is 6. It is the happiest place on earth.
So it's alleged, but you have exact numbers.
It's alleged, but I can tell you where to go to get it and how to get it. But it's just allegedly. But
I have been to Disney World. I went on the Tower of Terror with my brother. My cousin was talking about it, talking it up, and was super psyched. And then when we got there, he was too afraid to go on it. So it was just my brother and me.
Well, I want to go to Disneyland because you need to go to California Adventure too.
Well, my parents are coming to visit.
Oh, we have to have your parents on the show too.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. All right. Well, so there's a Disneyland trip in our future. In any case, I had mentioned that the play On the Spectrum, playing at the Fountain Theater, we had the playwright and the 2 leading actors on the show with us last week, and we showed a clip from the play. And basically, the play is it's a love story about 2 people who meet. One of them who has Asperger's and is quote unquote passing a lot of the time. A lot of times, people don't know that he is on the spectrum, and he meets this young woman that they have feelings for each other, and she's much more affected by autism.
Right.
And at one point, the girl in the love story says to the mother, very accusatory, says, if there was a pill that you could give him to get rid of his autism, you wouldn't you? She's very accusatory about it, and I think it's just a brilliant jumping off point to talk about how there's really 2 sides sometimes in the autism community. There are individuals who are older and on the spectrum and who are doing great things and who view autism as a part of themselves, and there's nothing negative about it.
Right.
It's a part of how you process things, and sometimes is helpful to how you process things. And then there are the parents of the kids on the spectrum who are constantly, we use phrases like, in the fight against autism,
right,
which is offensive, I think, sometimes to individuals on the spectrum.
That's offensive. The fight, we want to wipe it off. I hate when people say that, things like, oh, we want to wipe it out, or we want to wipe it off the face of the earth. And it's just, that shows a misunderstanding of what it actually is. And keep in mind that, yes, that there are struggles that these children are facing. But I had many of those struggles when I was younger, and I grew up, and I grew out of a lot of the troublesome things that I had to deal with once I got older.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. There is hope, and it's not just that, and it'll just happen eventually. If you continue working with your kid and supporting him or her, you're going to end up in a better place. They're going to end up more like me, or and not that there's anything wrong with being nonverbal or anything, but I know a lot of parents struggle with having children who they can't communicate with them, and that is where I understand where that comes from.
Yes.
But even then, those children have a lot of, behind the face where you don't see any emotion. There's a lot of emotion bottled up and intelligence there.
And one of the things I have said on occasion is when I'm talking to people is when I say in the fight against autism, I'm talking about the disabling aspects of the disorder, not the thing that makes you who you are. And I feel like I'm maybe changing and coming to a different place as my child gets older, because this question was put to me recently about if there were a pill that I could give him to wipe out the autism part of him at this point in the game, could I and would I? And my husband and I talked about that and said, at this point, I could not. I would be afraid of losing parts of him that are him. I could not. To me now, at about to be the age of 10, who he is so interwoven with the experience that he's had. I don't think I could at this point. But if you had asked me that question when he was 3, it would have been a different answer.
And a lot of parents, when their children start to get older, they realize that. And I think that's what's important, that there are parents that are working with self-advocates like myself and working towards getting more involvement of people with autism in sort of making decisions regarding autism on policy levels and stuff like that.
Yeah. But so what do you think about this moment in this play when this young woman says this to the mom? It's pretty provocative.
It's funny, I just did an interview with, have you heard that there's a movie coming out, Autism in Love?
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, we're having them on next Tuesday.
Okay. And I'm going to be doing, on Wednesday, a live, stream with question and answer and
cool.
sort of discussion with a bunch of the people involved in that.
Cool.
On Wednesday.
This Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good.
2 days from now.
And that'll be on wrongplanet.net?
Yeah, I will. I think I'll be posting a link to it for sure.
Okay, cool. Let us know, and we'll put it on our Facebook as well, so people can check it out.
But they just put a video, and I actually was talking about the concept of the pill. That's something I've said many times. About, if there's some sort of pill, it's like I'm not going to take it. It's like it's kind of like it's like the Matrix,
Yeah.
The red, blue, or the or the red pill or the blue pill.
Yeah.
Which one are you going to take? I would take the red pill for sure. Which the red pill? You have to take one of the pills. It's not. This is a different.
See, I have not yet seen The Matrix. I know a little bit about it, but I know I just taped it the other day because I've heard this so many times from people. I know.
You need to see it.
I'm not a big Keanu Reeves fan, but I know. I got to watch it.
It's. I mean, if it has nothing, he's good in it. I mean, it's a good movie, even if you don't like Keanu Reeves.
Okay. This is what I'm told. I have a deal with my husband that I have to watch the movie.
When are you watching it?
I don't know, because I have that and The Matrix Reloaded taped.
I was obsessed with The Matrix when I was a kid. I was obsessed with technology stuff, because that's a very Aspie or autistic type of obsession.
So my son is 10. Is it appropriate for him, or is it still too early?
It depends on what you would feel is appropriate.
I watched Jaws with him. I'm not the best at considering...
I don't think it's any worse than Jaws.
Okay.
I mean, in terms of inappropriateness.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, we'll definitely check it out. But so you have talked about the pill thing, and if and obviously you are happy with who you are and how you process things, and who wouldn't be if they were you, Alex? I mean, Nancy Allspaw Jackson and I sat here with you last week, and we said if our kids grow up to be like you, we'll be thrilled. But you did acknowledge before that everyone doesn't grow up to have the freedom that you have when they're on the spectrum.
Yeah, and I think part of that's because they don't have that drive to try to do certain things that I've done to learn, like the social skills. And those social skills can still be instilled if an outside source, such as a coach, a social skills coach, or someone like that gets involved with the kid. I went off on my own and did it. So but I think that in a more extreme case where your child's still not talking and you're having trouble in that situation, keep in mind that even then, they could be 30 and say they start talking. I mean, it takes longer to develop these skills, but you could still develop them.
Yeah. It was interesting in talking to Deborah Husseini of The Art of Autism. She talked about one of the artists who didn't start painting until I think he was in his 40s, and now is a brilliant artist who gets shows, and we're never done. And I know a lot of people watch and think that we talk about services for young kids a lot because we know early intervention is important, but you're never done growing as a person, whether it's autism or not.
I'm consistently learning about social skills. Every day I learn new things and learn other ways of and I get more mature. And
you know what's amazing to me is that the truth is that we should all be continuing to learn about social skills. I'm having to, because the social world is different than it was. I stayed home with my son for a 5-year period where we didn't get out very much, and the world changed. You all text now. And
we do text.
And I'm not up to speed with that about what's appropriate to text, so I'm having to learn.
I love texting, though, because you text and you say something and you don't have to show the emotion, and it's actually a pretty common way of communicating now.
Yes.
It's a very common way of communicating. Texting is.
And my friends are very excited because I now say them, and I'm text friendly now. I can text but I'm very slow at it, and I don't understand all the little letters that you guys string together, what they all mean.
The emoticons.
Yeah. Well, the acronyms,
the LOL, the RF, ROFL.
And the LMAOF, and all of these different things. I mean, I know what that means now, but I was going, what does this mean? but I had to learn. So we all should be growing. We're at the end of the show, though. But anything besides the Autism Walk, what do you have exciting coming up this week?
Well, I'm working on the TV show.
That's right.
And as I said, I'm doing that Autism in Love panel thing on Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
And
that's a pretty full week.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to see you at the walk, and then we'll have you back next Monday, and we'll show the clip of you doing the interview from Fly Away.
Okay. Sure.
All right, great. I want to remind everybody at the end of the show here that this show ends, but the conversation continues. You can still get a hold of us here, and Emily's cycling through some of the different ways that you can get in touch with us. We are not doing a show on tomorrow. We're having a day off tomorrow, but we will be back on Wednesday. We have a pre-recorded version of Ask Dr. Doreen, and then during the second hour, because it is Stand-Up Autism Day on Wednesday, a lot of people are going to Sacramento here in California to make a big noise to support some important autism legislation.
We have like a ton of bills that are coming up.
Yes, there's like 22 that are in the process, and so a lot of people are taking a bus.
I heard it was at least 18.
Yeah, it's a lot, and we've covered some of them here on the show, but Nancy Alspaugh Jackson will be there on the steps of the Capitol and hopefully Skyping with us. But our special guest co-host for that show will be Mark Christopher Lawrence, the gentleman who's shaved my head.
He thanked me on Twitter for...
Did he?
For coming by.
He's wonderful. So he'll be here with me. We're going to reverse the roles. He'll be here with me, and Nancy will be the person Skyping in. And, of course, we'll be giving you that, like, in-the-moment experience of what's happening. And I also want to remind you, because it is tax day, that it's not too late. I'm still working on my taxes, but Yolanda Baker has written a great book, and this is my guideline this last week. Bite Your Bills, Cutting Medical Costs for the Disabled, and it details how she got $28,000 back in medical expenses. It's not too late to use some of her tips or to sign up for her free webinars. She did some last Friday, and she's continuing to do them this week. She can tell you how to file for that extension so that you have more time to get your receipts together to get money back. If you can get money back to use it for other things, why not? So that's Yolanda Baker. Go to biteyourbills.com to check that out. We're just about out of time. Any last thoughts? We've got about 10 seconds.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show again. It's fun to be on here every Monday, and I hope
really
people
wonderful.
are tuning in.
I think they are, and it's fun to have you here. We're thrilled. I have to say goodbye to you guys. We'll see you on Wednesday. Until then, please give your kiddos a hug from me. Bye-bye for now.